Hello, everyone, and welcome to LA Rams Central. I'm wearing Eric Dickerson's jersey for this mock draft show. It's going to be pretty lengthy, so buckle up, ladies and gentlemen, and enjoy the ride because we are doing all 32 teams, including trades that we think happen. Me and Eric believe in doing one mock draft. We don't believe in pulling a Mel Kiper where there's 13 different versions so they can go, see, I was right. We're either going to be right or we're going to be wrong, but at least we're going to be honest. I love these other mock drafts that I've seen from guys I've never even heard of. I'm like, who? Like Joe Schmo from Schmuckville did a mock draft. Let's put it on NFL.com. But anyway, I don't know what you think of all that, E. Do you agree?
You know, it's funny because last year Mel Kiper Jr. did his mock draft. He had the same guy going number one the whole mock draft season, and that was Myles Garrett. And on the day of the draft, he changed it. Well, what are you doing? You knew it was going to be like that. You said it all along.
Yeah.
And then you changed it.
Anyway, you know, that's because people, they don't know how to commit. I commit in these picks. One thing you guys need to know, and I would like some comments on this show, and one of the comments I want to know is, should we do a college show? Thinking about doing two particular college shows, one after all of the non-conference games conclude, then one during the mid part of the conference schedule, and then an end of the year one, going into the bowl season. Because Eric and I watch a lot of college football. I live out here in Arizona, and although I don't get the Mountain West games, for whatever reason, the last 2 years, I've been able to find Wyoming games here and there. And I like to watch obscure football games. I didn't watch Wyoming because I knew who Josh Allen was. I watched Wyoming games because I'm like, oh, it's a completely different team that's not normally on television. So I watched it. And that's when I first got exposed to Josh Allen. And, of course, being a Pac-12 guy, I know Darnold and Rosen pretty well. So breakdown's pretty simple. We're going to go over our mock draft. Eric, after the top 10, do you want to go over some of the fans' top 10s that they had and just kind of read those off? How do you want to work the fans' top 10s? You want to do that after or after our 10?
Yeah, we'll figure out a way to work it in. You mentioned you watched some Wyoming games. They show Boise State out here relentlessly.
Really?
So, well, I always got a lot of Boise State games, especially obviously late at night, but those were typically on like the CBS Sports Network.
That's cool.
So it's always good seeing the blue smurf turf, but you're still able to see decent football. Boise State versus Fresno, Boise State versus Nevada. Early in the season they play somebody from a bigger conference, and it's always on national TV. So, they get that exposure. Maybe not so much the last couple of years, but, they played the Oregon, they played the Virginia Tech. Depending on who's coming out, and it's funny because after the draft, Todd McShay will put out his 2019 mock draft for the next year. And so this will give you an idea of maybe who to start watching.
Yeah.
And I'm not, I don't really go into like, this guy's going to get that or this team's going to get that guy. But it's more like, okay, well, these guys you could start looking at and thinking about, because if you're able to catch some of their games, watch them, and then you can kind of focus in on them when you're watching the game.
Yeah, I agree with that. Listen, I got a couple things that I'm going to go over here. Okay, I'm going to start because my favorite AFC team has 1-4. And I'm going to change that from our previous experiment. But I want to start by saying this. I don't mind that the Rams are picking in the third round. I wish they had a second round pick. I believe that this draft is 4 rounds deep. And I think it's the deepest draft that we've had since '83. And to give you an idea on how deep the '83 draft is, yeah, we all know Eric Dickerson, Kurt Warner of the Seattle Seahawks, who was a great running back, Ken O'Brien, John Elway, Dan Marino, Jim Kelly, all of the quarterbacks. But, dude, Bortz, Willie Gault, Richard Dent, they all came from the '83 draft. The amount of depth that came out of that draft, guys that started that were 9, 10, 11 round picks, that were
and Hall of Famers.
Right. There is no argument. Go back and look, not at the first round, but at all of the rounds. There was a Hall of Famer in virtually every round selected. It is everyone. All 28 teams got out of that draft with a Hall of Famer or an all-time franchise great. I think this draft is as deep as the 83 draft. I really do. And I don't mind that the Rams are picking third because I think they're going to get first-round talent, second-round talent in the third round. I think in the fourth round, you're going to get second-round talent capable. But boy, if there was a draft you wanted to have 2 ones, this would have been the one. But without further ado, the Cleveland Browns are number 1 in the draft. And I don't believe they're going to trade. So here we go. The Cleveland Browns, with the number 1 pick in the 2018 NFL Draft, select Josh Allen, quarterback out of Wyoming. Now, I've been saying this, Eric, you know this. I've been saying this since before this was popular. And then it became popular, and now it's died down. I hear a lot of people talk about Josh Allen's accuracy. Here's my issue with Josh Allen's accuracy. You know who else was inaccurate coming out of college? Brett Favre. You know who else was inaccurate coming out of college? Ken O'Brien. Ken O'Brien. Ken O'Brien ended up leading the NFL in passer rating in 85, 86, 87, and 88. Or was in the top 3. Every one of those years. So, accuracy for me is something you can teach. Arm strength, tenacity, those things you can't teach. You think about where Josh Allen played in Wyoming. You've got the snow, you've got the terrible weather. He's a big kid who can take a pounding, and right now the Browns are not built on the front line with Joe Thomas going bye-bye for the long haul. So they need a guy back there like a Tyrod Taylor who's mobile, or a guy like Ben Roethlisberger, which a lot of people compare Josh Allen to, who can sit back there and take the pounding. It's not just that he played in cold weather. It's not just the arm strength, because I think everyone in the NFL has sufficient arm strength at some point. To me, it's the, I just want to play football. No one's talking to him. He's not whoring himself out for attention. He's just sitting back and doing his thing. He is the perfect mentality for Cleveland. And he wants to play there. I think, personally, Josh Allen is the best quarterback in this draft, and I don't even think it's close. I've seen Sam Darnold. I've seen Josh Allen. I've seen Rosen and Jackson and Mayfield. He's the best. Not because he's accurate, but because he wins. He finds a way to get that ball into traffic. He can throw through tight windows. He can take the hits. He's a big guy, but he's just got that it factor. You're not going to worry about Josh Allen on Saturday night before the game. You're just not. You know he's going to be in the locker room or in the building or in the hotel room studying film. And that's what you need. I love him. I've loved him from day one. I don't think it's even close. I think it's Josh Allen and then the field as far as the best quarterback in this draft. But let me just end this with this, and then I'll let you go with your pick or your critique of this pick. I think all of these quarterbacks are really good. And I think if they're in the right position, they could really, really flourish. But Allen's going to be the one everyone remembers. Your opinion, your insight before you pick.
All right, well, I don't think you've been listening to the news recently, and obviously you got to kind of separate that from smoke screens.
Right.
And it sounds to me that the pick is coming down to between Josh Allen and Baker Mayfield. Now, if you guys remember, I highly touted Deshaun Watson last year as the best quarterback in the draft. And I still think I'm right. Obviously, he went down with an ACL injury, so it's still to be determined. But he's going against Mitch Trubisky. He's going against Pat Mahomes. So we'll see in a few years where Deshaun Watson really is. Is he the next RG3 where he fizzles out? Or does he take that Texans team to the next level? So here is where I see that pick because I've been saying, and I've said it a couple times on the show, that I think Baker Mayfield is the best quarterback in the draft. Now, do I think he's going to be selected number one? No. No, not at all. I did hear that the quarterbacks are down to Josh Allen and Baker Mayfield. But I sense smokescreen. And in one of my early maybe not so much mock draft, but going through like the top 10, I had the Browns picking Saquon Barkley. You guys might remember me and Anthony saying that at the top. And well, that's changed a little bit. I texted Anthony a couple of days ago saying that I had a dream that Quentin Nelson went number one. I mean, he's good enough to. It's not a sexy enough pick that he will. But I still have, and I'm going to stand by it until they call somebody else's name, that Cleveland selects Sam Darnold, quarterback of USC. I still think that the Browns are trying to get whatever kind of trade offers they can get, knowing that somebody wants to trade up to get Allen or even Mayfield. So until that name is called, I still have Sam Darnold going number one overall to Cleveland. I think he's pretty much ready to start right now. He definitely could use some seasoning. I don't think he would sit the whole year behind Tyrod Taylor. I don't think Tyrod Taylor is going to be Tyrod Taylor. Let me put it like this: he had weapons in Buffalo. He'll have weapons in Cleveland, but he's going to a new system, and he will struggle in Cleveland. And Cleveland fans don't have time for that. They want to see the next best thing. So Sam Darnold will be starting after week 6. That's how I see it. And it's not Cleveland hitting a home run on pick 1. It's Cleveland hitting a home run with pick 2, which is 4th overall. We'll get to that.
I think you may have changed your mind on pick 4, but I think we might agree on that one. Okay. Well, you've got Darnold off the board. I've got Allen off the board. I think the New York Giants at number 2 do not trade. I think they realize they have an opportunity here to get the best player in the draft. And yes, I do think this player is the best overall player in this draft. The New York Giants at number 2 select Saquon Barkley, tailback out of Penn State. And I think they do that because they know they've got a running game. They've improved their O-line in free agency. They've got a quarterback that still has juice in that arm, and I think they believe that. And what they need more than anything is a dual threat, because right now they've got the best. I think they've got the best receiving core in football. One of the best receiving cores in football is probably be a better way of putting it. I do like Shepard. I like their tight end, but obviously you got OBJ, who's one of the best receivers in football. I won't call him the best. I think that's Antonio Brown, but I digress. But you add Barkley and that football team, you can't put 8 in the box because they're going to throw on you. And you can't play pass coverage because they're going to run Saquon all day. So I think this is the no-brainer pick of the draft. I got the Giants taking Barkley at 2. You.
It's funny. Don't get me wrong. It's a good pick, and the Giants bolstered their offensive line by getting Nate Solder, who left New England to go to the Giants, which is big in my opinion, because we also saw how Nate Solder did. When the Patriots were on offense, and how he protected Brady up until one strip sack, which ended up being the game winner right there. Yeah. They kicked a field goal and then came down, but there's one turnover that really helped the Eagles out. And he's a good player, especially one-on-one. He can really neutralize a defensive front four. But I think the Giants actually made their pick 2 months ago when they traded Jason Pierre-Paul to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They see a player where they can't pass up, and this is probably one of the reasons why they traded Jason Pierre-Paul to Tampa Bay. To free up that spot to draft number 2 overall, Bradley Chubb, defensive end out of NC State.
It's a good pick. It wouldn't be a bad pick, but
however, I see Giants trading out of this pick, especially with Buffalo. I think Buffalo really wants. They're doing what they can to get ahead of the Jets. I think they want to feel better about themselves because they have pick 12 and they have pick 22, and I think they're going to package that up with another pick or two up to the Giants to get ahead of the Jets. And I don't know if you want to really play that type of game, but if there's a quarterback that they want, I can see them pulling that trade off with the Giants. Now, we still have time until that happens, about 24 hours from now. We'll finally find out.
I think I see
the Giants as big players to trade down.
I think there's no question that the Bills want to trade up. I just don't think they're going to believe that Bradley Chubb or Saquon Barkley will be there at 12. So what is the incentive?
No, not at all.
So what's the incentive to trade down? They're not going to get any of their guys. So,
right.
And I think they're looking at this going, no, we can't afford to trade out of this spot. Certainly not that low.
If they trade out of that spot, they can garner more picks for this year and next year. Know that if they covet a quarterback in the kind of second tier, like a Lamar Jackson or a Josh Rosen, who could slip, or maybe they even go after a Mason Rudolph later in the draft at 22, those are possibilities that the Giants could look at and say, you know what, we're gonna bolster our offensive line through other picks. We're gonna bolster other positions through other picks, and we'll get our quarterback later on in the draft.
I just think it's too.
It's hit or miss. It's hit or miss. Can I see the Giants dropping that far? Yes and no. I mean, if there's Dave Gettleman, the GM, has said, he wants a gold jacket player, meaning he wants somebody who's a Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
I mean, that's hard to project. But there's three guys in this draft in the top 10 alone that it could happen. And if the Giants stay at 2, they can get it.
Yeah. Oh, I agree. And that's why I think they'll stay at 2. Now, at number 3, I think the New York Jets are sitting there going, oh my goodness, we did not expect to have this choice to be made. But I actually think the Jets have made their choice. I think a lot of the Sam Darnold talk with the New York Jets is smoke screens. And I'll tell you why. I got the Jets at 3 taking Josh Rosen, quarterback out of UCLA. They love this kid. They've brought him in for workouts. They've sat him down and talked to him not once, not twice, but 3 times. And it's been my experience, when you bring a guy in 3 times, you're seriously considering it. And you could smoke screen that crap all you want, but you're serious. Saquon Barkley's been in New York 3 times, just to give you an idea. So I think they're going to look at that and go, yeah, Sam Darnold's on the board, but give us Josh Rosen right now, because that's our guy. And I think people are going to start looking at Sam Darnold going, oh gosh, the free-for-all, here it goes. What's wrong? How far is he going to drop? They'll calm down, but that's going to be the talk of this draft, that Darnold dropped from 1 and didn't even get picked up at 3. Now, who do you have the Jets taking at 3?
Well, it's funny you ask. I think the Jets need a quarterback who is ready from day one. And I'll go back to my quote-unquote best quarterback of the draft. And the New York Jets select Baker Mayfield out of Oklahoma.
Interesting. You're going Baker as the number 2 quarterback off the board. Okay.
Indeed I am.
Wow. I know you're high on Baker, so you're probably not going to like where I have him landing. But all right, well, listen, number 4, there's no way the Browns trade this pick. They're sitting there going, are you kidding me? We got our number 1 quarterback, and now we're going to protect him, and we're going to get that gold jacket player. I got the Cleveland Browns taking Quentin Nelson, guard out of Notre Dame. And that, if they do that, I think you can honestly say the Browns won the draft, because you get your guy and the guy to protect your guy. That is huge. And there's no doubt Quentin Nelson's the best O-lineman in this draft. It's not even close. So that's where I got Quentin Nelson going at 4. Your go.
That would be the smartest pick for Cleveland, but I don't think they're going to do that. Obviously, if you guys have been following my mock draft, there's a running back out there who's yet to be picked,
Yep.
And the Cleveland Browns get what they wanted to day one when they were on the clock, and the Texans lost so many games because Deshaun Watson went out with a torn ACL, and they got up to the number 4 pick, and Cleveland has its running back of the future. None other than Saquon Barkley from Penn State.
And they wasted a lot of money on Carlos Hyde, in my opinion.
They did, and I'm sure they can still cut him after one season if they want, but why not have Hyde, Barkley, and Duke Johnson, especially Barkley and Hyde maybe on the field at the same time. Barkley can line up out wide or in the slot at any time. And he's a great catcher out of the backfield. And if you have a dual threat, you don't know if there's a run coming or a pass coming.
You're right, but you know.
Okay. And then, especially the first quarter of the season, if you have Tyrod Taylor, you don't know if there's a pass or if there's a quarterback keeper.
That's
So
true.
you can have a little bit of fun and get some different types of film on you, and then you can start going a little bit more traditional in the second quarter of the season. When that schedule starts to really heat up. But
would you consider
Cleveland needs offense, especially after getting Jarvis Landry, and they also have Corey Coleman, and they also have Njoku, their tight end, who's a very underrated pass catcher. And so why not fill it all? Get your running back, who you'll have a lot longer than 3 years, and you sign Carlos Hyde for.
I'll tell you why. Would you agree that Eric Dickerson was a great running back?
He was.
Did you know when he went to Atlanta, he only rushed for 383 yards? And do you know why?
I do not know why.
Because when he took the handoff from the quarterback, he was hitting the backfield. Saquon Barkley could be the best back in the world. That offensive line ain't going to open holes for him. You're as a running back especially and a quarterback, you're only as good as your O-line. And to get a rookie quarterback, a franchise quarterback at 1, and not decide to protect him, but decide to give him more weapons that he won't have time getting the ball to, I think would be a really foolish pick. And I agree with your mock for the record. You've got Saquon still on the board, and I agree. If he's there, the Browns are going to take him. So I'm not criticizing your pick, but I would criticize Cleveland for making that pick. I understand the greatness of Saquon. But if you have a choice to get the number 1 guard in this draft or the number 1 running back, and you've already invested in a quarterback with the first pick, it's a no-brainer. But I agree with you. I think the Browns would make that move. Maybe part of that's why I have Saquon going so high is because I do believe he's the best player in this draft. So I agree with your pick. I just think it would be foolish for the Browns to make that decision if given the option. Does that make sense?
It does.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So the free fall ends. At number 5, the Denver Broncos select Sam Darnold, quarterback out of USC. I think the Broncos are going to be ecstatic. I think everyone's going to go crazy. The NFL people are going to say how great of a move this is. And I think in 5 years, people are going to go, oh, we kind of missed that one. Sam Darnold was okay. I see Sam Darnold as the type of, you can appreciate this. Sam Darnold is a Mike Tomczak. That's what he is. He's Mike Tomczak circa 2018. He'll win you some football games if you got the pieces around him. But are you really going to trot him out there and galvanize him as the savior of the franchise? Chicago tried that in '89. How did that work out?
I mean, not so well.
Right. I look, there's a reason Darnold is going to slip to Denver, I believe. And I believe there's a reason Denver's going to jump all over him because everyone widely believes he's the best quarterback in this draft. I think he is a Mike Tomczak, Vinny Testaverde type of quarterback. He's good. He'll win you football games. But you're not going to hang your franchise around him and be successful. You better have pieces around him. That's my 2 cents. That's where I got Darnold going. Who do you have Denver taking at 5?
Well, Denver signed the quarterback that they wanted for 2 years in Case Keenum. And I can also see Denver trading out of this pick to garner more picks. They have kind of an aging offense. Devontae Booker is their running back. They cut C.J. Anderson a few days ago. Sanders and Thomas aren't going to be around forever. So I could see them trading this pick. But this is where the free fall ends for none other than quarterback from Wyoming, Josh Allen. And the reason why that Denver takes Josh Allen is because they have time to groom him. They wanted Case Keenum. He's there for 2 years. Who's going to quarterback the team after year 2 or year 1.5 if Keenum goes down with an injury? Josh Allen. And who's he going to be working with the most? John Elway. So it just seems like a natural fit for me that Denver gets their quarterback who, like Wyoming, because it's just south of Wyoming, Denver gets almost the exact kind of weather.
Yeah.
So why not put him in the exact same type of environment?
True. A little bit higher altitude, but yeah, for sure. That would not be a bad move. I would be mad. I don't like Denver unless they go back to the D and the blue helmet, but that's just me. Sorry, I don't like the Broncos. But I do like Josh Allen. I would be forced to root for Denver, and that would be painful. But whatever. It's fine. I agree. I don't see him falling out of 5. If he's there, I think Denver would jump on him because you're right. It's a natural fit. It really is. Okay. And number 6. Everyone's expecting a trade, but remember, in my mock, there's still a big, bad booty daddy still available. And the Colts are going to look at this and go, are you kidding me? At 6, he fell to us? The Colts will be running, sprinting to Roger Goodell with their pick in this draft. And the Indianapolis Colts select Bradley Chubb, defensive end out of North Carolina State at number 6. He ain't getting past the Colts if he falls that far, and he may not. So I just don't think Indy sees a reason to move here. They're going to leap all over that. But there's going to be a lot of conversations going on for trades, I think, from this point forward, because there's going to be some pretty tantalizing people still on the board, but at the same time, nervousness that they may not be on the board much longer with what's coming up. Anyway, your call on the Colts.
Well, the Colts are very intriguing because they could trade. I can see a Chubb sliding. I can see a Quentin Nelson sliding out of the top 5. And if I'm the Colts, and with my mock draft, he hasn't been drafted yet, but in yours he has. But the Colts need to protect Andrew Luck, just like you mentioned, that you need to protect your investment after pick 1, and that's why you chose your guy at pick 4. My guy goes two picks later to Indianapolis. It'd be the smartest choice for them in the whole world. Doesn't matter who went 1 through 5, but Indianapolis selects guard Quentin Nelson out of Notre Dame.
Yeah, he's a top 10 guy for sure. I'm glad you went there with him. That would be a really smart move on their part. For a lot of reasons, but they got to protect Luck if the guy's even going to be on the field. I'm starting to worry it's something more serious, and the Colts are leading on because the dude still isn't throwing, and that's alarming. Would you agree?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I mean the Colts did hold pick number 3. They did trade it with the Jets that we all remember. So just think, I mean, if the Colts really thought Luck there was something wrong with Luck, they probably would have stayed at 3 and taken a quarterback they're choosing. Yeah. I always thought that if the Colts did that and took a quarterback, then there's definitely something wrong there.
Yeah.
So it remains to be seen, but until he steps out of the field, we'll never know what's going on.
Well, I will tell you right now, I like Luck, and I hope he's back on the field because I like that kid. All right. At number 7, the Chicago Bears are on the clock.
No, they're not. Tampa Bay's on the clock.
Oh, you're right. I'm sorry. Bears are on the clock at 8. Well, the Bears are on the clock soon. The Buccaneers are on the clock. And Tampa Bay is going to trade. I think Tampa Bay is going to trade because they're going to get an offer that's just too sweet. I will tell you right now, Eric, out here in Arizona, it is no longer floating around. It is full throat airport loud that the Cardinals are going to try to trade into the top 10 and get their quarterback. I got the Cardinals trading their 1, their 2, their 1 next year, and maybe even a 3 next year. They will give up that if they have to. Now, you criticized this when we talked about this before. And it's the same reason I criticized the Saquon Barkley move, but agreed with you that the Browns would probably take Barkley if he was at 4. The Cardinals spent a lot of money on quarterbacks this offseason. But I think the Cardinals are going to trade in with Tampa Bay at 7 because they know they need to get ahead of Buffalo. And I think they're going to take quarterback Baker Mayfield out of Oklahoma. That's the guy they want. That's the guy they're targeting. And I think that's the guy they desperately want to have. So I think the Cardinals will give up the house if they need to. So I got my first trade of the draft. I got the Cardinals trading up to get Baker Mayfield out of Oklahoma.
So I will go into my criticism of the Cardinals moving up. Now, I want to give you guys a little backstory. Anthony and I did a mock draft show. It just didn't work. Like, we had it, and I mentioned in the last episode, yeah, I changed my mock draft. He's like, oh, I didn't. We had an episode. We recorded an episode. It just didn't work.
Yeah.
And so it was a very I don't want to say heated, but it was a little animated mock draft between the both of us. And I'm going to provide my criticism of the Cardinals right here. And that is, they can mortgage the future for Baker Mayfield. They'll just have no future. If they move up to grab Baker Mayfield and give up all those picks, whether that's partially this year, partially next year, or all of this year, okay? Arizona is going to be bad for the next 7 years. Larry Fitzgerald's retiring. Who else are you going to throw the ball to? Are you all of a sudden going to go out and sign Dez Bryant? I mean, he wants a one-year deal. Do they have the cap space? They have Sam Bradford making $20 million this year. Sam Bradford, who can't even stay on the field, and his backup is Mike Glennon. So how soon is Baker Mayfield going to see the field? Probably by week 3 or 4. Okay? But the Cardinals then, in my opinion, are going to set them back at least 5 to 7 years if they do that.
But you said he's the best quarterback in the draft.
They'll have cap space. I understand. They'll have some cap space after this year. But, they have to be able to entertain and get free agents. They haven't had a problem getting decent free agents. It's getting the marquee free agents that I worry about that can help them over the top. I just don't see it.
Well, you said Baker's the best quarterback in this draft. And the Cardinals agree with you, and they seem to out here. I mean, Keim is all about Baker Mayfield. And maybe that's a smokescreen, but it's been pretty consistent out here. So that's a fair criticism. I'm assuming you don't have the Buccaneers trading.
I do not have the Buccaneers trading. Could they trade? Absolutely. Could every team trade in this draft? Absolutely.
Yeah.
But no, I do not have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think that they see a defensive player that can really help out their secondary. And they take probably 1A or 1B of the cornerbacks in the draft, and they selected Denzel Ward out of Ohio State University.
Interesting. That would be a heck of a pick. Help them on their defensive side of the ball for sure. All right. So now I have the Chicago Bears on the clock. Eric, you ready?
Yeah. I know exactly what you're about to do here.
The Bears are going to trade, Eric. Here's why I think trading for Chicago makes sense. They don't need a quarterback. Nelson was taken. So they're sitting there going, our guy's going to be there at 12. He's going to be there at 12. Buffalo wants to give us a 12, possibly a 1 next year, or a 1 and 2 and a 2. Whatever the case may be, I do think a 2 is going to be in play here. I think the Bears want to replenish the 2 they lost a year ago. So I think the Bears are...
3 they lost.
Oh, is it 3? Well, I think they're going to get a 2 and a 3 then. I don't know if they'll go for a 3, but they'll get a 2 at least and try to circumvent that loss from a year ago. The reason I got the Bills trading with Chicago here is the Bills have been listening to what the Patriots have been saying. And I think they're looking at this going, if the Patriots are high on this guy and we don't have a quarterback, we need this guy. Their head coach has coached or been on a team that had a guy like this guy. I've probably already given it away. But I think the Bills trade and select Lamar Jackson, quarterback out of Louisville. And I think a lot of people are going to be like, whoa, what? But here's why it makes sense. They've got their coach was on the team with Cam Newton. He knows what that type of quarterback can do. Jackson is supposedly faster. I don't know. He looked faster. But not having run a 40 and only playing college football, I don't know if he's Michael Vick fast, but everyone says he is. This guy can circumvent the Bills' offensive line problems. He's a better arm than Tyrod Taylor. He's a more exciting player than Tyrod Taylor. And don't forget they got Shady McCoy to still hand the ball off to. Buffalo needs this player. And I'll tell you, if they do this, the Patriots are high-fiving. They're chest bumping. They are celebrating that their dupe worked. I'm not saying Lamar Jackson's not a good quarterback, but I think a lot of this noise coming out of New England has been to protect a particular player that they want to draft at 31, and I'll get to that. But Buffalo gets their guy. And I think we're going to look at that and go, wow, all the quarterbacks we thought would go in the first round went before pick 10. And I think the Bears come out of this thing probably better than Buffalo because they have more to play with now. And I'll tell you who the Bears will get at 12 later because I don't have them trading again. Although that happened to me once. My team, the Rams, traded down and then traded down again. I wanted to strangle somebody. That was just last year, I think. Anyway, who do you got the Bears taking at 80?
Well, I don't have them trading. And my picks actually, after going through this, because, Bradley Chubb goes 2, Quentin Nelson goes 6. The Bears select a very young and a very hungry football player. And he's a linebacker out of Virginia Tech. He goes by the name of Tremaine Edmonds.
Wow.
He'll be 20 in August. The Bears could use a linebacker. I think it comes down to between him and Roquan Smith. I think the Bears go with the younger player. They need to replace Terrell Freeman. And to get a young, hungry, and somebody who wants to get the football every time it's on the other side of the ball or off of the line of scrimmage, they take a big chance on Tremaine Edmonds. And I'll tell you why. Ryan Pace selected a quarterback who had 13 career starts. Ryan Pace selected a tight end out of a Division II college. Ryan Pace selected Tariq Cohen last year. Well, these 2 of the 3 guys were on nobody's radar until later on in the draft. And Ryan Pace makes another draft. I don't want to say reach, but maybe a head scratcher, but this one pays off.
Okay. Well, I got the 49ers at 9. You had them going to Tampa Bay. I got them going to San Francisco to team up with Sherman Williams. I got the 49ers taking defensive back Denzel Ward out of Ohio State. This scares me because it gives the corners that look that the Rams do have with veteran talent. They get it with a veteran and a young guy, much like the Rams do, right? The veteran guy on the Rams is a Talib. The younger guy is Marcus Peters, although more proven. And I think the 49ers are going to try to imitate that model because they understand the importance in today's day and age of locking down the outside so you can force the middle. I know the Niners need a linebacker because theirs will be in prison, but I think they understand if they can get pressure with the front 4 and coverage on the back end, then those linebackers can be protected, and you can hide linebackers today. This isn't the 1980s where they're the focal point of the defense. They're really an afterthought in today's defense, not to discard your pick. But I think the Bears, that linebacker pick makes sense. But I think the Niners desperately need a DB, and I think they go that route.
Interesting. For me, for the Niners, Reuben Foster stepped in admirably as a rookie, and he did get arrested. But I actually just got done reading a headline that says that his girlfriend is retracting her statements, which I don't know how well that's going to play out.
Yeah.
We still don't know how Judge Goodell is going to come down on Reuben Foster.
Mm-hmm.
We do know that if Reuben Foster is found guilty of anything, that the 49ers are going to, if he's charged with anything, the 49ers are going to outright release him.
Yeah.
And so to step right in where Foster's shoes were, that's going to be none other than linebacker from the University of Georgia, Roquan Smith.
That's a good one, dude. That's a dang good one. I like Roquan a lot. Again, I think linebacker, he's kind of a hybrid player, wouldn't you say, though, Eric? I mean, he's got some speed. He can do some things that normal linebackers don't.
He's a speedster. He had 6.5 sacks at Georgia. He can cover any type of running back or tight end. He can rush the passer. He can mold him a little bit like what the Packers did early with Clay Matthews, and you have one heck of a player.
Ain't that the truth? All right, I'm going to round out the top 10. The Oakland Raiders. There's a reason they let go of Crabtree. The Raiders select wide receiver Calvin Ridley out of Alabama, the best wide receiver in this draft. And if he doesn't go in the top 10, it's a crying shame. It's not, in my opinion, it's not even close. He is the best wide receiver Alabama has had since Julio Jones, maybe even better. And I'm telling you, as a guy who watches a poop ton of Alabama film, there isn't an Alabama game I haven't seen in the last 15 years. And I'm telling you, Calvin Ridley is the best wide receiver. I would say he's as good as Julio Jones, if not better. And I think the Raiders, it fits that mold that John Gruden likes. He's got speed and he's got size. You've got Amari Cooper on the other side. It's like twin Bamas. But I think this is just a brilliant move if the Raiders make this pick.
Well, I think the defensive trend continues through the Raiders. I do not have them selecting Calvin Ridley, although that's a pretty good pick. I have the Raiders needing to shore up their secondary, and they select safety Derwin James out of Florida State.
Ooh. I got him going later.
Now, I have a hypothetical question for you.
Mm-hmm.
Let's say you're a team picking in the top 10. And I choose top 10 because the two guys, two of the guys are going to be top 10 picks, but I want to reverse something a little bit.
Okay.
Let's say instead of Quentin Nelson being in the top 5, let's switch out him and probably the second best offensive lineman in the draft, his teammate Mike McGlinchey.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we're going to do a little role reversal here, and I want to know if this is something you would do. So you have a visit set up with Bradley Chubb, and you have a visit set up with Mike McGlinchey. Again, McGlinchey takes the spot of Quentin Nelson, so he's being talked up more in this scenario than Nelson is with McGlinchey. Okay? And let's say that visit falls on the same day because of scheduling. Would you have McGlinchey and Chubb line up opposite each other and see how they get off the ball?
Yeah. Yeah. Why
Do
wouldn't
you think teams do that already?
I do.
With two rookies. I mean, can they put pads on? I mean, they're technically not product of the NFL yet.
They can't, no.
But would they be able to put pads on?
No, it's the same reason they can't put pads on in the combine. So no.
Okay, but it's not the combine.
I know, but I don't think you could get away with that. I don't know if teams do that.
I mean, would you really line up two rookies? Would you line up Chubb and McGlinchey across from each other and simulate a football play and just look at footwork and where hands go?
Why not? What can it hurt?
Okay. Right. I mean, obviously I'm saying that you're maybe deciding between the two, but maybe McGlinchey's got footwork that's like flawless.
Yeah.
And maybe Chubb stays too low or is too high. And obviously those things could be worked out. Don't get me wrong. Mm-hmm. But maybe you want somebody who's a little bit less flawed on your team when you decide between the two. Maybe. Just curious what your thoughts are on that.
It's an interesting scenario, and I wonder how often that's happened. Do I think it happens a lot? No, but I'd be curious how often that happens. All right, at number 11, I got the Miami Dolphins taking DB/safety Micah Fitzpatrick from Alabama. You couple him with TJ McDonald. You couple him with Adam Gase's coaching style, and I think it's a good fit. And I think Miami does a lot of good for their defense because, again, if you can cover in the back end, you can make the front end look better. So I'm going Micah Fitzpatrick here to Miami at 11.
Yeah, he's definitely going to get a lot of balls thrown his way when they face New England.
Yeah.
But that can only mean he gets better. It's definitely a good pick. However, I have Miami finally putting out of misery the long wait of quarterback Josh Rosen from UCLA.
Oh wow, you got him going.
I take this pick, and I take this pick this way because I'm not sure the Dolphins are sold any longer on Tannehill, especially coming back from a knee injury.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that would be a smart investment, and if he dropped that far, holy crap, right?
Right.
At number 12, the Chicago Bears get their guy. I believe it's the guy that they had at number 2 on their board the whole time, behind Quentin Nelson. They select tackle Mike McGlinchey out of Notre Dame. And I think Chicago selects a guy that protects their quarterback, improves the running game, which will only help Howard, allows for those receivers to have more opportunity to get open, and really solidifies an offensive line that has been woeful in Chicago for a while. And I will tell you, Eric, speaking from experience with the Rams, one lineman can make a lot of your linemen better. Look at what Whitworth did. And granted, Sullivan cannot be overlooked either. Bringing in Sullivan from Washington was probably the sneakiest number 2 best free agent signing of last year. The two together fortified that offensive line, but I think the Bears could do a lot of good getting McGlinchey here at 12. And they would have gained picks and got 1A or 1B rather on their board while garnering more picks in the process. This would be a mega win for Chicago if this happened.
I mean, I'm definitely not gonna be mad about the pick, especially when you can bolster the offensive line, protect your franchise quarterback that you hope to have a long time, and give him time to be able to throw the ball down the field. So I do like that pick. Me personally, I don't think the Bears are trading down, but if they do, they better get that guy. If they trade with Buffalo, because if they trade with Arizona, I don't think he'd be there.
Oh, he wouldn't be there. No.
So I don't have Buffalo moving out of slot number 12. Buffalo gets its quarterback, and they select Lamar Jackson out of Louisville.
Wow, we got the same guy.
Right. Just that Jackson falls a little bit further, and Buffalo doesn't have to give up the farm to him.
Yeah.
And I think, Lamar Jackson could probably go in there and start right away, but I don't think that's what Buffalo wants, and that's why they went out and signed A.J. McCarron. And if McCarron can do what everybody in Cincinnati thought he could do, and yeah, he did play a playoff game, and the Bengals should have won that game, but that's neither here nor there. He showed that he can sling the football and he can move an offense. We'll see how he does it in Buffalo, and I want to use the weather as helping him or hurting him, but he played in Cincinnati, so it doesn't matter. But I think that Buffalo gets its long-term solution with Lamar Jackson.
Nice. All right. At 13, the Washington Redskins select safety Derwin James from Florida State. This pick makes the most sense. Their defense last year showed no depth when they had guys go down with injury. They lost a guy already, and like you said earlier about the Giants telegraphing their pick at 2, I think the Redskins telegraphed their pick at 13 when they let Sua Cravens go. Because they know Derwin James is a much better player. And whether it's him or Micah Fitzpatrick, one of those two is going to be there at 13. And I got them taking Derwin James because I think he's going to go before or after Minka. So I got the Redskins really solidifying their defense in a league that, let's face it, the NFC East, outside really, of Dallas, that conference, that division, they have quarterbacks and wide receivers for days. So they got to shore that up. So I got them taking Derwin James.
Yeah, I think that's a good pick for them. It definitely, if he falls and gets past the top 10. But I also have Washington going defense as well, and Washington's not going to go after the quarterback and make it 3 a real quarterback selected after the top 10. But this guy has pretty much been linked with Washington ever since Washington had its spot in the draft. And this guy's a hog molly. He can really stuff holes and stuff running backs and can run them down as well. Washington selects Vita V, defensive tackle out of Washington.
Interesting. Yeah, I don't like where I put Vita, but I do like that pick. All right. Eric, I'm sorry. I really am. I'm about to create your worst nightmare scenario.
Take 10 years off Aaron Rodgers?
Second close. Second best option for you. Or worst option for you.
Okay.
I got the Green Bay Packers at 14 selecting running back Darius Geis out of LSU.
Wow. Talk about a reach.
I don't know if it's a reach. I think Geis is the second best back in this league, in this draft. And the funny thing is, Eric, I think Geis and the 2 running backs out of Georgia, like you can't go wrong no matter who. Yeah, you can't go wrong no matter who you pick out of those 3. But I think in Green Bay, they can get an angry runner who's versatile, not as versatile, but is more of a runner type that can really solidify that running game. And I think they need a little bit of an attitude adjustment in Green Bay because they've been finesse for so long. And I don't think they really feel like they need anything else but a running back here. And I got them taking Darius Geis out of LSU, which would be a nightmare for you because he's a dang good running back. What do you got?
Well, I don't even have Darius Geis in the first round. How about that?
Wow, really?
So correct, yes. So I have Green Bay actually selecting a defender. Green Bay selects cornerback Josh Jackson out of Iowa. dude's probably going to be, if not the second or could be, he's going to challenge for the best cornerback in the draft. And I know Denzel Ward went up there, but you know, you could be the best player in the draft. That doesn't mean you go first.
Yeah.
Or first in your position. And I mean that because if Baker Mayfield's the best quarterback in the draft and he doesn't go first overall and another quarterback does, well, you know, maybe he just doesn't fit the system. But I think Josh Jackson, unfortunately, from me speaking, is that he's going to wreak havoc on NFC North quarterbacks for years to come.
Wow. Interesting. Okay, turn on the thing. Sorry, my son came in. That's interesting. I don't have Josh Jackson going until much, much later. And that's... Let me put it to you this way. I technically... You can leave that up, Eric, or Elliot. I'll tell you right now. There is a scenario that I have where Josh Jackson doesn't get drafted in the first round. How funny is that? Neither of our Green Bay picks do we have going in round one. That is so hilarious. Look, who I got a scenario.
Maybe Green Bay doesn't. Maybe Green Bay uses 10 minutes and 1 second and loses their draft pick. I don't know.
Because they're arguing over two guys that no one else has them taking in the first round. That's funny though. What are the odds that the two guys that we would pick going to Green Bay are guys that we're really high on that neither one of us have going in the first round?
Right, exactly.
That's funny. That is funny. All right. The Buccaneers at 15. Didn't I have them trade out? Yeah, I had them trade out. You ready for this? I got the Buccaneers.
Go ahead.
I have the Buccaneers getting one of the most surprising steals in the draft. At 15, I got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers selecting defensive end Marcus Davenport out of UTSA.
Wow, University of Texas, San Antonio.
Finally it goes. It's a top 15 pick. So, yeah, I think he's going to really help that defense. He can help McDonald, who's on that defense as well, and I think that will do a lot to help that side of the ball that I think needs a lot of help.
Interesting.
Who do you have here? The Cardinals, right?
I have the Cardinals. I do not have them trading up. And this guy has really been linked a lot with Dallas. And because I don't think Arizona pulls a trigger on moving up for a quarterback, knowing that their future depends on it, so they need a future. I have Arizona selecting, and you probably know this name pretty well, Anthony. Rashaan Evans, linebacker out of Alabama.
Oh, shut up. Why would you do that to me? Put him in my division, you punk. Oh, you're such a jerk. Yes, I know that name. That would be a great pick for Arizona, though.
He's going to wreak havoc on running backs throughout the league.
Yeah. Get him out of my division, you plick. All right. Well, here's what's interesting at 16. The Baltimore Ravens. You already had this guy off the board. I could see him slipping here. And who better to learn from than Terrell Suggs? I got the Ravens taking linebacker Tremaine Edmonds from VTech.
That's not a bad pick at all.
I think that would really be smart. They could really groom him along the way and keep that defensive tradition going.
Well, I have Baltimore going offense on this pick. And Baltimore actually offered Dez Bryant a multi-year deal, and he turned it down. Dez Bryant, and part of it why Baltimore offered Dez Bryant a multi-year deal was because this way they could stay under the cap. Dez Bryant wants a one-year prove-it deal. It sounds like he's going to sign after the draft.
Yeah.
If Baltimore tried to sign Dez Bryant to a one-year deal, they would be over the cap. So the Ravens had to say, thanks, but we can't because of our cap situation. So in order to stay under the cap, the Baltimore Ravens select wide receiver DJ Moore out of Maryland.
What? You got DJ Moore going over Ridley?
I sure do.
You are
Again, it's
smoking some
Again, it's not.
Dude, I don't even have him going.
Oh, you're not going to like where I have Calvin Ridley going.
Dude, I don't even have him going in the first round more. Like, I don't.
Yeah.
But then again, I do think this draft is just that deep. So I don't think that's a terrible pick. And God, how great would that be for him? Stay in Maryland? Are you kidding me?
Right, exactly.
That would be nice. All right, well, hold on a minute. I got to clear the throw up that's about to come out of my mouth for this next one. I have the Los Angeles Chargers. Sorry, it's dry heave. This really pisses me off because I think this guy's going to be good.
I know who you're picking then.
I got the Chargers selecting defensive tackle Vita Vea out of Washington. They got two of the best offensive linemen last year and one of the best defensive tackles this year to team up alongside of Joey Bosa, what they already have at the linebacking spot on that defense. The Chargers are going to be a very big hemorrhoid in my derriere. Is that where hemorrhoids go? I don't even know. But nonetheless, it's going to be a problem. So I think it's a smart move by almost at San Diego, by the Chargers. I think it makes them stronger on the and it almost makes them very similar to the defense that they constructed in the late 90s when they were really, really good.
Interesting. Well, I actually do have the LA Chargers selecting the exact same position, but Vita Vea has already been selected. And you probably know this name too, Anthony. But defensive tackle from Alabama, Deron Payne, is going to be a Charger.
You got it. Oh, really? Why are you having guys from Bama going to teams I hate? God, it's another D tackle though. It's the same concept. In the grass,
right, exactly.
where I can't see you. Okay, sorry, I had to talk to my son. What was that, E?
I actually thought we would have had the same pick on that one, but lo and behold, we're going to have to wait to another pick.
Well, dude, we got the same position going, though.
Right.
I mean, and that's a solid spot, I think, for a D tackle. Look, I just didn't have Vita off the board yet. You did. If Vita was still on the board, would you have him going to San Diego or LA, whatever they're called?
Oh, yeah, most definitely.
Right. So, I mean, we're kind of in the same boat. This one may surprise you, and let me explain why I have Seattle taking who I do here. He's long. He's an athlete. He is, in a lot of ways, reminds me of Sherman Williams. I've got the Seahawks taking defensive back Jari Alexander out of Louisville.
Interesting.
Because I think they need to continue to fill out that back end because it's leaving. You know, they may not trade Earl Thomas. They may keep him for a little bit. And he really is Sherman Williams light, or Sherman Williams, the pain. I do that every time. Richard Sherman light. Anyway, go ahead.
Well, then you probably won't like who I have Seattle going to.
If it's Calvin Ridley, I'm going to fly to Chicago, and I'm going to pull you out of your house and stab you in public if it's Calvin Ridley.
Well, okay, so but don't worry, because it's not.
Okay, good.
Seattle is the one team in the NFL that spends the least on their offensive line. And they're about to get the second or third best offensive lineman in the draft when they select guard Will Hernandez out of UTEP.
You could see my face right
They
now.
They need to protect Wilson, and I agree with your pick on a quarterback because obviously they want to replace what they lost in Sherman. But I think it's time that they start looking on the offensive line and start rebuilding. Wilson is still young enough that they can rebuild around him, and I think they're going to do it the right way and start with the offensive line, especially in this draft.
That would make me so mad. That's a good pick, though. That dude is a monster. I think Clash of the Horns, or I forget which Ram fan out there really wanted Will Hernandez, and you just made him scream. He probably cussed. Thank you, Eric. You caused him to use profanity in front of his children. I don't even know if he has kids. I'm assuming he has kids. I could be totally wrong. All right. Well, from one team, like 3 straight throw-ups. Can I just say that? Like the Chargers, the Seahawks, the Cowboys. I hate all 3 of these teams. But boy, Dallas is going to fix a problem that they've had for a long time since DeMarcus Ware left for Denver. I got the Dallas Cowboys selecting who I think is actually the best edge rusher in this draft, Harold Landry out of Boston College. I hear crickets.
Wow, okay. Yeah, crickets. I don't even have him on my draft.
Dude, you're missing him. I'm telling you, Eric. This kid, he is, oh my goodness, off the ball. When he times the snap, twice against Georgia Tech. The tackle didn't even get his second foot back in time. This guy, Harold Landry, was by him twice in the game. He's unbelievable off the ball. He's a jet. This guy's going to be good. I don't want him to go to Dallas, but I could see it happening.
Okay. Well, you might as well buy your ticket to Chicago and stab me in the throat.
Are you kidding? Well, this makes sense here, though. This really does.
Because Dallas really has Jason Witten to throw to, Terrence Williams to throw to, and Cole Beasley to throw to. And this is where the Dallas Cowboys select Alabama wide receiver Calvin Ridley.
That's a good pick, man. It makes sense here, though. It does. I'm not as mad because he's not in my division. He just goes to, well, he's in my second favorite team's division, but nonetheless, that's not a terrible move. All right. This one may surprise you. You may or may not have this guy on your board. I got the Lions picking him because I think Detroit needs this position. In fact, the next 2 guys you may or may not have had on your board. But I have the Lions taking center James Daniels out of Iowa. I don't know if he's as good as the kid from Alabama a few years ago when Indy took him, but I think he's good enough to quarterback that O-line for a decade and really can help protect the $85 million man or however much he's making in Sam Bradford or Matthew Stafford. So I have the Lions going line here, and I have them taking probably the best center in football in this draft, at least. Not the best center in football, but the best center in this draft. James Daniels out of Iowa.
Well, normally I would say who, but you and I finally have the same pick.
Really?
And it only took Detroit to get it.
Of all the teams.
Of all the teams.
Surprised we didn't go wide receiver, Eric.
Right.
Oh, wait, Matt Millen's not there. Matt Millen's not there.
Right, exactly. Exactly. But James Daniels, give him a couple years, and he'll be anchoring the line while Matthew Stafford still drops back 85 times a game and throws the ball.
Right, seriously.
But he's also good in the run game. You know, with Iowa, he was able to set his offensive line, call out numbers, call out defense. You know, he is going to be. If I had to compare him to somebody, and I mean this is going a ways back, but you know who he is. Obviously, he's also a Hall of Famer. I'm not calling him a Hall of Famer yet, but he's got Dermonte Dawson skill set.
Yeah. I can agree with that.
Now back to our next pick where we won't be the same.
Cincinnati Bengals made a decision that I'm very happy about. That Andy Dalton is their quarterback of the future. Screw what the experts, because they're idiots, have to say. Dalton is a great quarterback. He is. There isn't anybody out there that wouldn't want a guy that leads their team to playoffs, 5 out of 7 years. And I'm sorry, but it ain't his fault that his team lost all those playoff games. They didn't lose because Andy Dalton threw 19 picks. They need to protect him. They lost Whitworth. They lost some more linemen. I got the Bills taking tackle Connor Williams out of Texas at number 21.
Interesting. I do have Connor Williams going in the second round, to be honest with you.
Okay.
But you did mention exactly what I was going to mention, and that was that 2 off seasons ago, Cincinnati lost 2/5 of their offensive line, and they had to replace them. One went to Cleveland, one went to the Rams. Obviously, the Rams family knows who that is.
Yeah.
For Cincinnati, I have them selecting tackle Mike McGlinchey out of Notre Dame.
Wow, he falls all the way there. Well, that would be huge for the Bengals. You could book their division title right now if that happens. Seriously. With the running back that they got last year, their quarterback, those receivers, and that tackle, that could be fun. It could be a lot of fun in Cincinnati. Bengal fans celebrate it. There's right.
Could have a lot of time on Andy Dalton's hands waiting to throw the ball to the right person, too.
Which is big for him. All right.
Oh, yeah.
I got the Buffalo Bills on the clock again at 22. This is for you. Not you. But for the lovely Georgia fan that we have out there. I think she's probably one of my favorite people. Go Dogs. Buffalo selects linebacker Roquan Smith from Georgia.
Wow, you have him dropping like a rock.
Mm-hmm. I have him dropping like a rock only because I think, look, I have Rashaan Evans still on the board on my thing. I just think, again, Eric, I'm telling you, this draft is so much deeper than people realize. I don't consider it a drop. I just think people look at it and go, we have a top 5 talent at the position of need. This is one of the few drafts you can go in and get position of need and get one of the best players at that position off the board. There isn't a lot of need at linebacker until now. And I do have linebackers coming off the board here pretty quickly. But, yeah, I got Roquan Smith. I'm sorry, I don't feel he's dropping. I know you said that. But this is a position of need for Buffalo. Couple this with the Lamar Jackson pick, and I think the Bills are rolling in a good way on both sides of the ball. And in the first round, when you can get both sides of the ball taken care of, you got to feel pretty good.
Yeah, I also have Buffalo in this pick, and you're probably not going to like me when I say this, but Buffalo lost Stephon Gilmore last year. They need to replace him. And say hello to your new quarterback, Mika Fitzpatrick out of Alabama.
I actually wouldn't mind that. I don't hate Buffalo. I think that'd be a good spot for him, too. But you got him dropping like a rock. See what I'm saying?
Well, the thing is with Fitzpatrick, nobody knows exactly where to play him. He's getting the Jabril Peppers treatment right now, I feel.
Well.
And they don't know whether he's a safety or corner. But I think if they stick him at corner, they're going to get a lot more out of that quarterback than they would if they put him at safety.
Yeah. Well, look, at 23, I think New England is going to be looking at 3 players. Guard Will Hernandez out of UTEP. Defensive back Dante Jackson out of LSU. But I think they're going to go linebacker. I got the Patriots taking linebacker Rashaan Evans out of Alabama. If he's there and he doesn't go to San Francisco, I think New England gobbles him up right then and there. Thank you. We'll put him next to Dante Hightower on our defensive side of the ball.
Is New England becoming Alabama East?
Hey, similar coaching style. And Belichick likes those disciplined players.
Yeah.
There's no way do you agree there's no way he passes up on Rashaan Evans here if he's there?
Well, he can't get Rashaan Evans in my draft, but yes, he can't pass up Rashaan Evans.
I agree. Okay. What do you got New England doing
for
here?
For me, I have New England also on the defensive side of the ball, but I have them on the outside. rotate through their secondary. They have Gilmore on one side, and this guy, if they're able to land him, can shut down both sides of the field. None other than cornerback out of Louisville, Jaire Alexander.
Ooh, I don't know where I'm going. He's in my second round, to be fair. That's a good.
You just had him go up like four spots earlier.
Wait, who did you say? Oh, Jari Alexander.
Jaire.
I'm sorry. You said Jaire. I called him Jari. I got mixed up. You're right. Out of Louisville.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be a great pick. Again, he's long. He reminds me of Richard Sherman. He really does. That's a good pick. I had him off the board already, so. Okay. The Carolina Panthers are on the clock. I think Carolina knows they need to give Cam Newton more than just Olsen. They lost their wide receiver to Buffalo. I got Carolina taking wide receiver Christian Kirk out of Texas A&M.
Oh, my. So, your top two wide receivers off the board, Calvin Ridley and Christian Kirk.
Length, speed, yeah.
Over DJ Moore, over Cortland Sutton. That's very interesting.
Yeah. Look, I think what I saw in Christian Kirk in a lot of SEC games is he's, can I use a basketball player? Maybe you'll know who I'm talking about. Do you remember Rip Hamilton of the Pistons?
Are you seriously asking me that question? Of course I do.
Okay. He reminds me of a football version of Rip Hamilton. He's always moving. His route is not over until the ball is thrown. If he's got to improvise, he improvises. Who's the quarterback in Carolina? He's going to need to improvise. He's the best at it on the board. Do I think he's better than those receivers? No. Do I think he's as good as those receivers? Yes. And I think he fits the system for Carolina a heck of a lot better than those other guys because he's not stationary. He's always moving around the field. And I think that's an important asset to a team like Carolina with Cam Newton. Am I crazy?
I mean, stranger things have happened in first round, especially when you get later on.
Yeah.
Are you crazy? Maybe a little bit. We all are.
Yeah.
But I don't have them taking Christian Kirk.
Who do you have them taking?
Well, Carolina plays in a division where you have future Hall of Famer, a former MVP, and a fourth-year quarterback who's got tremendous weapons if he ever figures out how to use them. So Carolina needs somebody in the defensive secondary to be able to cut down on those long passes and also hit hard. Carolina selects safety Justin Reed out of Stanford.
Ooh, I like Reed too. But again, I have him as a second rounder. That's hilarious. But no. I keep going back to it, Eric. This is such a deep draft. I told you there's first round talent. Look, I've got Will Hernandez and Dante Jackson falling into the second round in this scenario. They are first round talent, no question. So I just think this draft is that deep. Okay. Well, I think we may have the same. Well, I don't think we have the same pick here because you already had him going because you're a punk to. I forget who even you had him going to. It was somebody I didn't like. I think it was the Cardinals. The Titans need a defensive lineman. That's why they went after Ndamukong Suh. So at 25, I got the Tennessee Titans selecting defensive tackle Daron Payne out of Alabama. It solidifies the front four, front three, whatever covers they want to use, because he's one of the few defensive tackles that can play a true 4-3 D tackle or a 3-4 nose tackle. He's just a beast who can get off the ball, and I think the Titans need more of those types of guys to get pressure on the quarterback. I got him taking Daron Payne.
That's a good pick, especially if they're able to get him there. The guy I have, he's already off your board. But the Titans also go defense. They select in the defensive front four. And I think they finally get their pass rusher that they've missed since Javon Kearse the Freak. And Tennessee selects defensive end Marcus Davenport from UTSA.
Yep. I like that pick too if he falls. I mean, that's a great pick for them. I can't see him getting past Dallas, especially with the draft in Dallas. But, I mean, if he did, that'd be great, right? So Calvin Ridley, though, if he's on the board for Dallas, I could see that. That would be a tough call for them, right? On your scenario, I could see it. I mean, it's not impossible. It's not unlikely. That's a good pick. It's funny that our Bucks and Titans pick were flipped. My 15 and 25 were flipped. What are the odds of that?
Yeah.
All right. At 26, the Atlanta Falcons go safe. They go smart. They go defense. They select linebacker Leighton Vander Esch out of Boise State University.
Good pick.
Helps that defense. Yeah. He's a beast.
It does.
He reminds me of Luke Kuechly, doesn't he?
Yeah, but does he get the concussions like Kuechly?
Well, let's hope not.
I would say Sean Lee, but hey, he can't stay on the field either.
Right.
I also have the Falcons going defense, but not linebacker. I actually have them going defensive line. Atlanta gets a big body in the front four. They need to be able to stop Mark Ingram and Alvin Kamara, Christian McCaffrey.
I swear to God, if you pick this guy, the Saints are going to be pissed in my draft. Go ahead.
Atlanta selects defensive tackle for Florida, Taven.
The Saint fans in my scenario just started punching the television. That is a great pick for Atlanta. The reason I'm laughing so hard, Eric, is at 27, I have the New Orleans Saints taking, to help their defense because they've got the back end covered, the big body you just mentioned, defensive tackle Taven Bryan from Florida.
That's hilarious.
Oh, that is so beautiful. That is so Atlanta-New Orleans rivalry right there, too. That would be such a dick move. Oh, it's something they need, though. It wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility. Oh, man. Oh, God, that just tickled me pink. I just did not expect you to go there. Oh, sorry, that was funny.
Well, it's okay because Drew Brees is going to go back to his old self. He's got a passing yards record break this year.
Well, that's true.
And so I see him not handing the ball off that much in the early going. And this is where their pick comes in. New Orleans went out to try to get back Jimmy Graham, and they didn't. They lost him to Green Bay. So instead of spending all that money on Jimmy Graham, they're going to spend their money on a tight end in the draft. And they say, welcome to New Orleans, Dallas Goedert, tight end from South Dakota State.
You have him going over Hayden Hurst?
I do.
Wow.
I do.
Really? Wow. Crazy. Smart. He's a receiving tight end. Okay. All right. The Pittsburgh Complainers are now on the clock. And the Crybabies from the Steel City select defensive back Mike Hughes from UCF. I think with New England being what New England is and their inability to stop Tom Brady, and I think everybody believes Brady's coming back for one more year no matter how long he holds out. I think the Steelers know they've got one shot at this left with their aging roster. They need to figure out a way to beat New England. I feel like they feel pretty good about their defense. They could go linebacker here. Leighton Van Der Esch, if he was there, because there's going to be no Shazier this year, could go with him. But because he's off my board, I have them going with Mike Hughes.
I really struggle with Pittsburgh a couple of times as far as who to pick for them. And I would really seriously consider a wide receiver. Whether that would be, I actually at one point had Calvin Ridley falling all the way down to Pittsburgh. But I could see them, maybe trading back and getting a wide receiver, or even saying, you know what, heck, we're gonna take a wide receiver, groom him. He doesn't have to play right away because we have Brown, we have Bryant, we have Heath Miller, and I could have seen them selecting like a Cortland Sutton. Bryant's only there 2 more years before his contract is up. However, I don't have Pittsburgh selecting a wide receiver. I have Pittsburgh selecting the exact same guy that you selected for him.
Really?
Mike Hughes, cornerback, UCF.
Isn't that funny? Wow. I think it makes sense. They got to try to fill that back end up, right?
Absolutely.
All right, 29, I have a surprise trade. Have Dallas trading back in by trading with Jacksonville.
Oh, for Johnny Football?
Yeah. Johnny Manziel, back to the Cowboys. No. I think Dallas sees that this guy's still on the board, and they're not going to let him slip any further. If Jacksonville picks, watch them to take the tight end Hayden Hurst. That's who I think they'd go with here. I know they've got Mercedes Lewis, but I think they want to try more 2 tight end sets, especially with Fournette. And if you have 2 receiving tight ends, that would be an interesting threat with 2 vertical tight ends. And we see what McVay's tried to do in LA with those 2 tight ends. And I think it could be a method of success in Jacksonville, especially with that quarterback. But I think they trade it. I think Dallas jumps back in and selects defensive back Josh Jackson.
Yeah, that's a pretty big slip for him.
It's a big slip.
I mean, yeah.
But Dallas would make a splash with 2 really good players.
They would. I get where you're going with Dallas. I just think they also need to focus a little bit on offense somewhere. And I think if they trade up, they miss their chance of getting a possible wide receiver in round 2. But hey, they want to make a splash in Dallas because the draft is there, so why not try to get as many picks as you can when next year, if you don't have many, doesn't matter because the draft's not going to be there.
Exactly.
So you want to give your fans something to cheer about. So I understand that too. I have Jacksonville keeping their pick and selecting Hayden Hurst, the tight end out of South Carolina.
There we go. So we got Hayden Hurst going to Jacksonville too. If Jacksonville stays the course, I think that's who they take. Right. Interesting that you went with. Now, what was your reasoning behind that pick?
I think that Jacksonville sees both tight ends, and they like both. And they say we'll take one or the other. They don't have a preference that they can both fit. Obviously, they probably prefer Goddard, but because he's a receiving tight end, knowing that New Orleans is looking for that because they can't count on Kobe Fleener anymore. They can semi-count on Josh Hill, but Josh Hill is not an every down tight end. And, he needs that rest and whatnot. So that's why New Orleans goes with the pass-catching tight end, while Hayden Hurst can still make his living, like a tight end who, isn't always focused on getting the ball, but he's not the focal point, but he's option 2, option 3, and can still be a dangerous weapon for Blake Bortles.
He's a red zone threat, no question. You agree?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
All right, at 30, I got the Minnesota Vikings selecting tackle Brian O'Neill out of Pitt. They need to protect their new $1 million freaking quarterback, so why not give him a little more protection on the back end and fortify that offensive line even more?
Interesting. Yeah, I definitely agree with Minnesota selecting an offensive lineman, and I also have them selecting a tackle. But this tackle is from UCLA, Colton Miller.
I have him going in the second round and early. So that's a good pick. I have him going to New York with the second pick in the second round. So
yeah, this is where obviously Minnesota decides who's worth the fifth round or the fifth year option.
yeah,
It's really what it boils down to this late in the draft. You know, it is who we are going to select worth worth going over a fifth round fifth year option.
yep. Well, I think the New England Patriots at this point calmly walk up to the front and hand Roger Goodell their pick because their plan worked. They duped Buffalo into Lamar Jackson. They fooled everyone into Lamar Jackson. And yet another quarterback comes off the board.
I know who this is.
Patriots select quarterback Mason Rudolph out of Oklahoma State. He will learn.
It's a good pick. That's a great pick, actually.
At 31, it's a smart pick.
Oh yeah.
You give him time to groom behind Tom Brady. He's a big guy, and you potentially have your replacement to lead you into another decade of excellence.
Yeah, I think New England gets their quarterback later. This is where I have linebacker Leighton Vander Esch being selected out of Boise State.
Be a good pick too. Help fortify that defense.
I do like the Mason Rudolph pick. I think he's not being talked about a lot. I think he's everybody's mentioning day two with him. I think he's a solid quarterback. I think he could be the second or third best quarterback in this draft.
He has the potential. He has the potential, especially if we can, if and I say we, meaning coaches, groom him and do what they're supposed to do. I think, like all these quarterbacks have arm strength. And guys, if you're listening out there and they say, oh, this guy has a strong arm and this guy has a cannon, dude, shut up. They all have cannons or they wouldn't be in the NFL draft. They wouldn't be talked about in the first round. Nobody's going to go, this guy couldn't throw farther than 22 yards, but he's great. No one's going to do that. Anybody that goes in the NFL is got an arm. It comes down to other statistical categories. So don't buy that strong arm bullcrap. But what Mason Rudolph has is he has a couple of things that are raw. He has that, probably better than anybody in this draft, he has that Aaron Rodgers ability to run around and throw the ball. He will take off if he needs to, like Alex Smith, but he'll stay in the pocket and try to create things downfield with his limited but surprisingly effective mobility. And he's a big guy. He can see over just about any lineman you put in front of him. I just think it's a solid pick here. And I think it would be not surprising if Mason Rudolph went in the second round, because I'm telling you, Mason Rudolph is a first-round talent. And as I said in the beginning of this mock draft, this draft, you are going to get first-round talent in the third round and the second round. You are going to get second-round talent in the third and fourth round. It's deep. And Rudolph is a quintessential example of a day two guy that in any other year would be a day one guy. So at 32, I've been conflicted. I could see the Eagles staying put. You said you had a dream about the draft 2 days ago?
Yep.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, Eric, you gave me a dream last night, and I'm mad at you. I dreamt, and I could see this. This is a scenario that could happen. I could see the Rams trading the Eagles, their number 2 next year, a 3 and a 4 this year, potentially even a 3 next year. So they could get a 3 and a 4 this year and a 2 and a 3 next year to get that 32nd pick. The reason the Rams would have to give up so much is because they would literally be leapfrogging an entire round to get back into the first round. In my scenario, I still have Will Hernandez on the board. I believe if the Rams trade, that's who they're trading for. Him or Rashaan Evans. the linebacker out of Alabama, who, by the way, didn't get drafted in the first round in this scenario. The Rams, if they trade up, are going to get either Will Hernandez from UTEP or Rashaan Evans from Alabama. However, I'm going to stick to my mock. Just don't be surprised if that happens. I want that on record in case it does. It'd be a lot, but they've shown they don't care about giving up a lot. They want to get better now. But I have the Eagles staying pat. And at 32, I have the Eagles taking guard Isaiah Wynn from Georgia.
Yeah, to me, Philly really doesn't have a lot of holes that they need to fill.
They need depth.
And they do need depth. And that's where my pick comes in. I don't have them trading. There's been a lot of talk that Philly wants to trade out of that pick. But I think Philly is looking for its next Darren Sproles. And to your girl, who's a big Georgia fan,
our girl,
Eagles select running back Sony Michael out of Georgia.
He's good. He's real good. He's first-round talent, no question. And by the way, April, he meant our girl. Don't listen to him. He's just as much a part of the show as I am.
So I have some news for everybody. And it's not going to affect my mock draft, but it could affect what happens in the real draft. I just read that 5 teams, or around 5 teams, have taken Boise State linebacker Leighton Vander Esch off their draft boards because of a neck or spine issue. They sense that it's narrowing and that they don't want to take the risk. So it'll be interesting to see who he goes to, where he goes. I have him going second to last in the first round. You have him going roughly around the middle of the draft.
Yeah, I have him going 20 what? I have him going 26. It's back end.
Okay, back in the draft. I thought you had him a little higher. Never mind. Mm-hmm. But that's definitely something to watch from him. There's been talk that the Cleveland Browns have kind of grown a little cold on Sam Darnold. Well, Mike Mayock, actually one of the more respected analysts and pretty darn good broadcaster. He did a lot of Notre Dame games.
Yeah.
And I like listening to him because he's very informative.
Yeah.
He projects that Sam Darnold goes number 1 overall to the Browns. And that was earlier today, roughly an hour and a half ago. So, there was a smoke screen earlier with Darnold and even the Cleveland beat reporter, the Browns beat reporter, saying that, it's between Mayfield and Allen. So, to me, it's another smoke screen. And really the only person who knows is John Dorsey and probably Hugh Jackson.
Yeah, that's true. All right, Eric.
Because their advisor, Scott McClanahan, he's a big Baker Mayfield guy. And I think that's where the whole Baker Mayfield thing was coming in. So, unless they get something to where they can't say no to for the first overall pick, I mean, expect the Browns to take Darnold, Allen, or for a chance Mayfield. I don't think he goes number 1 overall, but between Darnold and Allen for sure.
Do you want to read real quick before we go those mocks that came in?
Yeah, absolutely. So here we go. Let's see. I think I got to go to the other. Thought I had it up, but okay. So the mock draft that we got from a couple of people who wrote in on here. Shimoni has Darnold, Barkley, Allen, Nelson, and Chubb in their top 5.
Interesting.
Yeah, so they got Darnold going to Cleveland like I had, Barkley going to the Giants like you had, Allen going 3 to the Jets, Nelson going 4 like you had to Cleveland, and then Bradley Chubb going to Denver. Goodness gracious, if Bradley Chubb went to Denver, no quarterback would be safe ever.
Right?
That was Chubb on one side and Von Miller on the other.
Jeez.
Okay. There was another one on here that Cliff Trudell. I appreciate you. I had a little conversation with Cliff on this. He posted his top 10, and his first pick was Sam Darnold to the Browns, Saquon Barkley to the Giants, Josh Rosen to the Jets, Minka Fitzpatrick to the Browns at number 4.
Interesting.
Yeah. Kind of like to get what you see there, Cliff. I don't think that's a bad pick at all. I think that makes the Browns formidable, especially they're already talking about trying to trade one of their cornerbacks because it doesn't fit what's going on there anymore.
Yeah.
So that would be an interesting move for them. Josh Allen, number 5 to the Broncos. Bradley Chubb to the Colts at 6. Quentin Nelson to the Buccaneers.
Ooh.
I haven't heard that one, but and basically it's flipped because Denzel Ward, cornerback to the Bears. So those two flipped in a lot of different mock drafts there. That's interesting. And even though the Bears re-signed Fuller and Prince Amukamara, you can never have too many corners, especially in a division where you have Aaron Rodgers throwing to Cobb and Devontae Adams and Kirk Cousins throwing to Diggs and Thielen and Stafford throwing to Marvin Jones Jr. and Golden Tate and whoever else they decide to throw in there.
Yeah.
He's also got Tremaine Edmonds going 9 to the 49ers and Roquan Smith to the Raiders.
Wow. Interesting. 10.
Yeah.
Those are good picks. Those are interesting. It looks like a lot of top 10s. Look, for me, I think this draft people are overthinking, and I think there's a lot of talent. And I just think if you have an opportunity to get a guy of need, look, here's the age-old adage: do you get the best guy on the board, or do you get the guy that you need? Is sort of not true. The way coaches go in looking at it is our position of need have a top 10 talented guy playing it? So often you don't, right? You only have 10 guys, right? So you're looking at, are they top 10 talent? You don't get a draft like this very often where you're like, Jiminy Christmas, there's 30 top 10 guys here. You can literally almost fill every position with at least one. So I think a lot of these teams are going to just be leaping at the positions of need because they have top 5 talent in it. So I don't think any of these are bad picks. Is there any more, or is that it?
No, that was it. Those were the only 2 that came in.
All right, guys. Hit us with your questions. Keep subscribing. Like these videos. Get me out there. Me and Eric really want to take this to another level and create an actual show out of this that goes on radio. I'm going to be looking into that. I'll be giving you guys more detail on that. If that's something you think would be cool, hit it up in the comments. Let us know. We love you guys all that subscribe and watch and stay diligent. I do want to give a shout out. I don't have the name, and I'm sorry, but there's a kiddo out there that said he does his homework while listening to our show. Keep up the good work. Keep the grades going. I'm a teacher here in Arizona, and my school did not close. I'm very thankful for that. Although I support the pay raises for teachers, I don't support politics. So get politics out of my classroom. And I teach government. How does that work? It's confusing, but it works. But certainly, look, I'm not going to get political. All I'm saying is, if you're in school, keep doing your homework, keep up the good work, keep listening, and hope you enjoyed it. That's it. I'm Anthony.
And I'm Eric.
And go Rams!